It's noon. There's a bright sun, but there's cold wind. So the sun's kind of mocking you a little bit. Davroid and Willard, the two of you just snuck laboriously up the side of some lightly misty terrain to where there are some small trees clinging to the rock face of this mountain pass, only to discover that the creature you were hunting was using some kind of sensory effect to project its voice from somewhere else. Frode and Armis, the two of you stand by a trap that Frode has just reset on a small goat trail in the same mountain pass, just a little further away. At one end of the mountain pass, there's kind of this poison cloud of gas. That's like the eastern exit of the pass, and then to the west, you would be able to leave the mountain range and head towards the flatlands and the kingdom of Udril. And last session, you managed to sort of establish in communication with one of the hidden creatures you can't see. You thought they were where Davroid and Willard are, but they weren't. You kind of established with them that you are supposedly low-ranking members of Storm Company, this band of, what are they, mercenaries? We don't really know. We haven't learned that much about them. They wear blue cloaks. We know that. Frode and Armis, you have supposedly agreed to stay at the eastern end of the pass and alert them when their quarry, a diplomatic envoy from the city-state of Gaim, enters the pass. We've deduced that this is all set up to be some sort of ambush. What's weird about this in the context of why you're even here investigating it, because, frankly, fighting mercenaries is not really your role, is that the sensory effects are an exact duplicate of wild magic that you responded to in the past. Only now, it's being done intentionally. So I would love for us to start our adventure here with Davroid and Willard, the two of you inching your way up the mountainside as stealthily as you can, although it can't be perfect because Davroid has not stashed his analytic disc, so this big black obelisk is floating over his head as he crawls up the mountainside. But it's quiet. And then Willard is, we established, kind of climbing right or burrowing underneath him. So Willard, you're like 5, maybe 6 feet down in the into the surface of the ravine there as you're climbing up. What do you do as you get to, like I said, it's just this small like copse of trees that are all kind of clinging to the side of the ravines. They kind of stick out away. So you can, like, at least Davroid can kind of rest, with your feet on one, and then you're kind of sitting on the next tree above it as you kind of look. And you hear the final echoes of that voice that was just like, I'm going to go get my backup, kind of ringing out over the mountain range. And you can see like a slight shimmer or a slight distortion in the center of this copse of trees. Like a little, it almost looks like there's a weird bubble in the air that must be, kind of the sensory projection or the source of the illusion. What are the two of you up to?
Could I make either I guess it would be an intellect roll, but specifically since I have like a similar-esque ability, like to discern what this is and what maybe the range would be of it?
Yeah, absolutely. That will be a difficulty 6 task, which we're going to ease because you're familiar with this kind of sensory effect. So we'll ease it by 1 step to a difficulty 5. Target roll of 15.
Willard will kind of feel through the ground that Davroid has stopped, and he will stop as well, and then slowly and carefully burrow up to kind of stick his little face out from under the ground and watch what Davroid is doing.
Great. You've been stealthy the whole way up here, so you don't need to make another roll for that. You just kind of barely poke out, not disturbing too much of the dirt. We'll say you kind of emerge right at the center of this little clutch of trees as well. So you've got the shimmering thing right over top of you, and then Davroid maybe off to one side, kind of silhouetted by the harsh sun up above him.
So I have a skill. I know a little bit about everything I'm trained in. Would that give me some easing?
Yeah, sure.
And then I have 3 edge in intellect, so I would like to...
That's a free level of effort.
Yeah, use a free level of effort.
Great.
And then I will roll.
Okay, so that we've now eased it 3 steps from a 6 to a 3 with a target roll of 9.
That is a 17.
Great. With your 17... you are very familiar with this kind of effect because it's pretty similar to what you do. Like, your whole thing as a detective is that you're able to kind of separate your consciousness from your body. And so although you don't project illusions necessarily, which is how this one is probably working, you are kind of familiar with the range of such spells. And especially if you're going to be there controlling it, like these were not pre-programmed responses that were kind of left here. There's not some rune that's running this thing. The creature must be nearby because they're interacting with you through this sensory crystal. And so you are pretty familiar with that kind of thing. And I'm going to actually pull up a map here for the chat to look at and for myself to see where things are. So you're where these small trees are clinging to the rock face right at the center of the pass here. And then, as we said, Frode and Armis, you're back at the goat trail near the eastern exit. So from where you are, you're confident that the creature would need to be within essentially 2 zones of where you are. So they can be far away, but not very far away. So as far back as that high outcropping of rock, as far to the south as that hidden peak where like the clouds kind of obscure the mountain, or as far to the west of you as like that waterfall, they might be up at the top of the waterfall. And as you're looking around, why don't you go ahead and make another intellect roll for me with this new information. Your target or your difficulty here is a level 4.
Is this just perception or is this something else?
This is essentially perception. This is to spot the creature.
Got it. Then I would like to use Open Mind, which is 3 intellect points, and I gain an asset to any task involving perception.
Great. So you kind of, Willard, you see Davroid just like, he kind of puts you see the gears turning in his head, and then suddenly it like snaps forward to his eyes, and you see his focus as the dwarf kind of turns his attention outward to the canyon around him.
I got a natural 20 on the roll.
Natural 20, that's a success with a major effect. So your success is you're definitely going to see the creature. What would you like the major effect to be?
Major effect. Major effect is like
essentially it's like a slightly less impactful player intrusion. So you can't go the whole way to like he falls off the cliff, but you might be able to spot another illusion somewhere in the mountain range that you could know is coming for later, or you might discover a useful tool in your pack, or so there are things like that.
Could I have it so now that I know where he is, have it so that me and Willard can make it to him without being detected?
I would give you 2 steps of easing on stealth against this creature as your major effect. Like basically you spotted him so quickly that you were able to like, hey Willard, get down, and I'll ease for like the rest of this encounter or the rest of this session, we'll say I would ease your stealth by 2 steps. Would you take that?
I'll take that.
All right.
Can I put the obelisk away too? Stash that.
Yeah, where do you want it to stay? Remember, it just floats, but you can kind of command it to stay somewhere.
Could I just put it in like my pack? Is it small enough?
It's too big for your pack. You could stash it like on the rock face if you wanted and just have it like lay there like another boulder, but you wouldn't be able to like fit it in a bag or something.
Can it move on its own? Like, could I send it to another player?
You can send it somewhere, but you have to be able to touch it to give it new instructions. So you could send it away or have it follow someone new and it would go there. But then to change that new thing or to call it back to yourself or to interact with it, to call Sarah to have her analyze or whatever, you would need to be touching it.
I want to give it the command to follow Frode.
Excellent. Frode, you're by this goat trail. You've just reset the trap. You and Armis are kind of looking at each other like, well, we just had this long yelling conversation. It's nice to catch our breath. And just slowly out of the distance, Armis probably sees it first with his sharp eyes. This just a big black orb rock thing just sort of spinning gently on its axis floats toward you across the whole length. It's like, 600 or 700 feet that this thing just like gently floats along until it comes to hover over top of Frode.
I'd like to imagine Frode's facing away from it, looking at Armis. Could you believe that guy?
Frode, I sent you the disc. It gives away my position, so I'll get it back when we're...
what do you mean you sent it to me?
Is that what that fat bird is?
This is a fat bird? Where?
There's some big old ball coming at us. It's really strange.
What the? Oh, you said the obelisk thingy-majig at it. Okay.
Davroid, as you turn your attention back to this blue-cloaked creature, the clouds kind of peak or split apart, and you can see just for a moment up to that peak that's hidden behind the clouds. You see the blue-cloaked figure is unhooking what looks like some kind of harness that they've like anchored to the rock face. and they begin moving to the west very confidently, like this is a path they've traveled before, ducking in and out of the clouds, heading towards. There's sort of like a large lightning-struck tree, kind of just sticking out by itself out of the mountain, and he's heading over that way. He's a pretty far distance away from you. It would be really hard for you to hit him with something, but he also doesn't appear to have noticed you or Willard. As a reminder, the last thing he said was he's going to go find his backup and bring them. So that's probably what he's doing.
I would like to get there as swiftly and as quietly as we possibly can.
Okay. What path do you want to take to get there? Like, you can move. We'll just enter sort of a gentle turn order here.
Okay.
So that you can.
So you said he's at the hidden peak among the clouds on the south.
Yeah, he's between the hidden peak and the lightning-struck trees. He's just kind of moving along that ridge.
We'll go from the small trees where we started to the cracked ground in the south, and then continue heading southeast, I guess, to the small flat plateau, and then following the path straight to it.
Just a quick reminder out of the game. Technically, you can go in between where you don't see paths, but it is just harder, more difficult, dangerous.
That's true.
You could go to the large fallen boulder and just somehow, I'm sure you're going to have to use your creative juices, get to the cluster of lightning-struck trees, but...
and if you'll recall also, the further you move, the harder it's going to be to stay stealthy. So if you move one zone, I'll give you that one for free because you're not doing any combat and you have that asset to your stealth. If you move 2 zones, I'm going to make you roll a speed task to stay stealthy.
Okay.
You and Willard are both going to roll, and you're going to combine your results.
What's the terrain between the fallen boulder and the cluster of lightning?
It's pretty much sheer cliff face, like not exactly sheer cliff, but because it's a mountain pass, so it's a ravine. It's just very, very steep. The boulder might have fallen when the lightning struck that tree, like that same concussive force may have blown it right off the top, and it just kind of rolled down. So there's a couple of deep gashes in the rock face that you're confident could be climbed, but it would, it'd be a heck of a climb to get up there. It'd be pretty much vertical.
And it's the same towards the hidden peak among the clouds?
Yeah, that whole kind of like southern edge of the mountain range is all kind of like sheer rock.
Willard will telepathically,
Yeah.
through our connection go,
Yeah.
I believe it may take longer, but it's more of a sure bet to get to that cracked area on the ground and then climb up from there. If they're really trying to contact backup, then we can possibly catch them while they're discussing or...
One other reminder, he
trying
did
to
say in the
contact.
last session that his backup's 30 minutes away. So if you were to let him leave, you'd have about 30 minutes before he got back.
You guys, that telepathy thing's weird. Do you guys need help? I figure me and Armis could go do what we said we would do, except maybe instead of warning these blue cloak fellas, we'd warn the diplomats.
You guys do that. I like that plan, Willard. We'll head to the cracked ground and then climb to the hidden peak.
As you say that, the blue cloak makes it over to the lightning-struck trees. You see him pull out that, there's like a big carabiner on the end of a harness or maybe an iron hook of some kind. He clips it into something and disappears outside the ravine, like to the south. He kind of jumps off the rock face. And Davroid, you've seen enough in your time to know that he's probably rappelling or climbing down the back of the mountain pass. So there might be some kind of footpath or something behind it. At the same time, I want to bring to the group's attention here that we do have some choices to make because you just started talking about them. So you have some options here right now because you're not currently in combat. You have this information. You have some paths available to you. One of them is you could leave and warn the envoy to turn back or turn aside. This would probably not impress Jasper because you'd have to reveal your existence, and you'd force the diplomat's message to go undelivered, and there'd still be magic loose in the canyon, which is what you originally sent here to deal with, was like, oh, there's wild magic in the canyon. You could search out as many traps as you want while this guy's away. Like maybe you could just disable them, and then even if they try to spring their ambush, nothing happens. And then when they get there, you could either stay hidden or you could try and encourage the envoy to run quickly by either, masquerading as a threat or revealing your existence, but at least the message gets through. You could let this blue cloak leave, and you could try and set an ambush for him when he gets back with his backup. You don't know how many reinforcements are coming, and you don't know how many traps you might trigger in the waiting or in the fight. And it's kind of out of your pay grade. Like, you're not really soldiers. You're not really trained to fight them. But you have done this once before. You did it 3 months ago. And while it wasn't pleasant, you all lived. Not the guy you tried to capture, but you all lived. And then lastly, you could try to track this guy to his backup and kill them. You don't know how bad of a fight you'd be getting into. You don't know the terrain. And there will still be traps in the canyon, but you stay completely hidden from the diplomatic world, because if you kill them, they won't attack. So even if there's a bunch of traps, you'd only need to worry about the ones on the mountain pass floor. So those are kind of the choices in front of you if you all want to sort of decide your options here.
I think I don't think you guys should reveal yourselves to the envoy, but if you could block the path or do something to delay them a considerable amount of time and then come back, and we can deal with the blue cloaks when they get back, or like set an ambush. I think Willard and us following him would be the best option for us.
I mean, I guess I could look for some traps, and maybe Armis could go up ahead and just keep an eye out. And if we don't get a message to Armis, I do think, worst case scenario, we pretend to just be some travelers and warn them. I think that's better than just letting them go into a uncertain situation if we don't do what we need to do in time.
I agree with that.
I think that spreading our bets is a good idea. For example, we saw that blue cloak, he was rappelling down from over by that tree. I would really like to go up to that spot and take a knife to his rappelling equipment so that he can't easily get back up. That's something I definitely would like to do.
All right, well, I guess we should hurry up then.
Sounds fun to me. I'll wait for the diplomats, and if I don't hear from you, I'll do my best to stall them. I haven't wheeled and dealed like that in a minute, but
just make sure you put on, like, throw your hood up.
oh yeah. Oh no, they're not gonna know nothing about me. Don't you worry. I'm already scheming.
You'd be like with the time I was Jack, right?
You'll be Jack. Look, I'm gonna get some moss and make a cute little mustache or something over it. I'll figure it out. It's gonna be fine.
Armis has got this.
So it sounds like Willard and Davroid are headed up to the lightning struck tree, and Frode is going to try and work on some traps, and Armis is going to stay at the entrance to the mountain pass. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Sounds like we've got our plan, and as the players move out to try those different things, you know what that means. It means it's story time at the Winged Badger Tavern, and we will be right back.
I never could have guessed.
The hell is this?
The world of Urda has regressed, Jasper. Whatever else happened 100 years ago, magic is wild now, and that's dangerous for everyone. If I send soldiers or even the Guardians, the world of Urda will see a conquest no matter what I say. But we can't control a mercenary company.
Okay, what are you proposing?
Am I supposed to look at the camera, look away? I don't understand these things.
If you're doing something wrong, I'm gonna find you.
And then he just pretends to fall over and goes, I'm like, I have been injured.
You hear him say "King me" as he throws down a full house on the table. He looks pretty feeble, but one time someone saw a kid try and mess with him, and he slapped him really hard with the cane.
So we're supposed to be what? Some kind of arcane janitorial squad? Who's gonna lead a team like this? No, don't look at me!
Don't look at him.
Welcome back to the Winged Badger Tavern, where friends tell stories. I'm joined by some of my friends. Friends, why don't you introduce yourselves?
Hello, I am Jake, and I play myself in the intro, and also Willard Taffy, the exiled dirt speaker who throws with deadly accuracy.
Hello, I am Mike, and I play Armis Thrupp, a sharp-eyed Sepiter speaker who works in the back alleys.
Hello, I am the official voice actor for Davroid Gravelheart, Trevor, Nice to meet you. Davroid is a perceptive dwarf speaker who separates mind from body.
Hello, I'm Frode the Rosanian, played by the meta-conscience above me, Cleo. And I fucked around, found out with the Fae. I'm a rock. You've got the point.
And I'm Josh, your Wing Badger Game Master. I play everybody else. Now, without further ado, let's find out what shenanigans this cleanup crew is going to get up to. And we will begin with Frode the Forsaken. It's going to take a little while for Willard and Davroid to climb up there. You're not under any pressure, so you're not going to get yourselves hurt. So let's start with Frode. Frode, you are currently standing on like an old goat trail that kind of leads up the side of this mountain pass. So it's kind of like mossy, a little overgrown with like some tough, coarse mountain foliage. But it's, you can still see for a little ways. Lots of good handholds to work with if you were going to climb. What would you like to do?
Well, I'd like to think that the floor of this ravine is most likely what the diplomats would write. That's the most traveled trail. Am I correct in saying?
Yeah, I mean, the foot of the ravine is like an actual mountain pass. So it's like the only way for carriages or larger transports to get through the mountains. That's kind of like safer, I guess.
Then I'd probably make my way down towards the bottom of this trail that happens to link up. I'd probably follow Armis for a bit. But once we reach the main thoroughfare, I'll probably make my way westbound. And
sure.
I'll use my uncanny ability to see the unseen to try to spot what I think are pit traps. Now, the only tangle I can see is potentially not recognizing the traps as traps, even if I can see past the illusions.
Right, like you can see sort of the way we've canonically explained it, if I recall correctly, is that you can still see the illusion, but you see sort of like a transparent, almost like a hologram overlaid on top of it with like what's actually there, right?
Right.
So you can you can see the things, but you don't necessarily know that they're traps. The first thing, as you move into some like mossy ground terrain, there's kind of these deep ruts in it from like cart wheels or other little wooden personal vehicles as they're moving through, and you notice that off to one side of it, there's kind of a strange little shimmer where the moss meets up with some roots from some like thick gnarled oak roots or something like that, and there's this little shimmer there, and on the other side of the shimmer, like, you don't actually see anything different, so there's an illusion here, but you're not sure what, like, it looks the same on the other side. So the ground is just the ground, and on the other end of this this kind of root system, there's like a large boulder that's kind of fallen down. But right here, there's just this moss and then some tree roots, and then on the other side, the boulder that fell down. And you can tell it's an illusion. It's shimmery and overlaid and hazy, but it also looks the same both ways. Like the illusion looks the same as the reality.
I'll stick my hand through it and see if my hand looks the same.
Roll an intellect task.
Oh, all right. Well, I didn't have a lot of that left, so I guess we'll just roll it. We'll just find out.
We'll just find out.
We'll find
Like
out
with the Fae.
a lot with. I'm gonna use a player XP to reroll that.
Okay.
It may have been a 1.
Just maybe.
You know what? I'm okay with a 9. That's at least a level 3.
All right. With a 9, you do.
Does the fact that I see through it at least lower the difficulty?
Yeah, it eased it by 1.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Yeah.
Unfortunately, a 9 was still not quite enough for your roll. And as you reach into, I'm assuming, like, because it's on the ground, so you're like reaching in and like poking the tree roots, right? So you like reach your hand in, and suddenly your hand like grabs the tree root. Your hand is now the only thing holding you to the ground. You get this incredible sense of vertigo as your body is flipped, reoriented, and you begin falling upwards towards the sky. And you are like, the root system is the only thing letting you anchor yourself to the world as your body threatens to fly away. It's like gravity has completely shifted and flipped upside down.
Guys, I think I found one of the first traps.
Have you identified a way to disarm it?
Armis, Frode is crouching and poking a tree root and yelling very emphatically.
I feel like I'm about to fall into the sky. I don't think that's right.
Dear God, he's like right behind me, or do I gotta run at him?
You're not very far. He's on like that mossy terrain area, and you're right by the exit because you were waiting for the diplomats. So you've got, he's real close, just a short distance away.
We just split up, Frode, and then I take my sphincter hands and I aim one at Frode and one on the ground, and so I shoot a web at Frode and anchor myself to the ground to try and pull him back.
Okay, Frode.
Safety.
Just to be clear, Frode is not floating away. Like, Frode is just crouched on the ground, holding onto a tree root for dear life. Frode perceives Frode as falling away from the world. This is an illusion. It's all in his head. But you hit him with web, and you anchor your web to the ground, and Frode, you see Armis begin to get pulled into the sky with you. As he anchors the web to you, you see Armis suddenly, like like that rope effect where you hit it and it like the sine wave flies off through the rope. He just whoosh, whips up into the air, and now he's also up there.
We got it. You gotta hold on, buddy. You're falling into the sky.
Frode, stay with me, brother. We're gonna get through this. You're having a bad trip.
I know I'm having a bad trip. I'm almost falling into the sky. Your trip's worse. You're way further up than I am.
Calm your mind, Frode. Come back to me. Break this genjutsu.
I can't. You're above me. If I come to you, I'll fall into the sky.
All right. Can I like try and throw a rock at his head and see if it snaps him out of it?
Sure.
I don't know how to break it. I throw a rock.
He's not moving, and you're sharp-eyed, and he's a short distance away from you. You just hit him in the head with a rock. Frode, take 1 point of might damage. Actually, yeah, 1 point is fine. 1 point of might damage as a rock bounces off of your head. The bounce off of your head feels wrong. Go ahead and make another intellect roll for me, as like one of the pieces of your reality does not match up properly with the rest of it. This is an attempt to disbelieve, essentially.
I've already spent an XP on this. I don't want to, but I don't want to waste time. I'll roll another one. I'm using another XP to re-roll.
Okay.
Oh, thank God. 16.
16.
16.
16 is high enough, and suddenly, Frode, it's like you blink and you're back.
Whoa!
You snatch your hand back from out of the shimmery haze where the roots were, but you are right where you were crouching, and you can still see the illusion there. You now have this understanding of like, okay, if I step into this illusory area, the area looks the same. It's me who gets illusioned. Like, it's my perception of the world that's going to get messed with.
All right. Does this?
Is everyone all right?
I guess I know what you meant, Armis, by bad trip. I thought you meant like trip as in fall or maybe on a journey, but you meant acid trip, and now I understand.
I got a little sucked up into the reality too. I thought you were really floating away. The panic you had in your voice.
You know, they say some people say I should try improv or something, but you know.
Come down to the theater. I still gotta teach that sword fighting workshop, but
of course. I mean, we gotta take care of this.
We do. Do you remember Matt? By the way, you remember my buddy Matt?
Yeah, he's the one who went.
What's that?
He went to go warn somebody, right?
Wait, okay, just confirming as someone who can't see what you are doing. You are fine now?
We're talking shop.
Yeah,
we're fine.
There's
Okay,
an illusionary
all right.
trap.
Maybe because we have a limited amount of time, keep moving and doing your job.
Okay. We'll save the conversation about Matt for another time.
Cleo, I'm going to offer you a player intrusion or a GM intrusion that you immediately walk into the next trap. You can accept or reject it with an XP.
Can I accept it but delay it? Because I wanted to do something before I continued forward.
That would be refusing it.
All right, then fine. Yeah, I just step into the next trap. I'll accept it.
Okay, so you're like, yeah, that's all right, I'll do that. And you turn around and take one step around the root system. And you step into, so like you're in the shade of this large fallen boulder. And your first clue that something is off is that you can see these little echoes of the boulder all around you, like rolling over and over again. Like if you've ever played a video game where the ping is 900 and it just like keeps looping the same animation over and over again, it's like that. And as you try to walk or talk or speak or whatever, it's like echo, 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 echo. It's just this big echo of everything you do is kind of happening all around you. It's very disorienting. And I'm going to need you to roll a speed task to stay on your feet as you get so disoriented by all of these crazy things that are around you.
18. You know me, I'm
18.
a speedy boulder.
Frode's a rock. Frode's solid. This trap, I mean, you immediately understand, like, okay, what's happening here is past events are being replayed as these kind of weird phantom images. But like the ground is the ground. Down is down. And you keep your feet and you kind of understand where you are. In fact, you keep your feet so well that you can identify the pressure plate that set this off. You can see that in the shadow of the boulder, kind of aligned in such a way that it's it is hidden in one of the little ruts from the cartwheels. You can see like, oh, here's the little plate that clicks down. And if you wanted, you could probably rip that out of the ground or do something else to disable it.
Oh yeah, I mean, you read my mind. I was just like, trap found, and then you're gonna hear a thud as I just rocket my arm into the ground, just right on that pressure plate.
Excellent.
If it's got anything underneath, I'm gonna rip that out.
It would be a might task with a difficulty of 4 for you to rip this out of the ground. It's just an object with a level of 4, so you could also just try and destroy it. You know, if you hit it 3 times, it will be destroyed down the object damage trap.
I'll use 2 hands because, you know, when I fight unarmed and I make both fists, I have the wrecking ability, which I take a -1 penalty to my attack roll, but I inflict more damage, and I'm trained to the task if it's a object or barrier.
Oh, okay, great. Well, then let's do that. So it was level 4. That sounds like that eased it to a level 3.
Right. I do get technically a -1 penalty.
Okay. So your roll, and then we'll subtract 1 from it. But your target roll is 9, so with your penalty, target roll is 10.
And I'll take the free level of effort.
Great.
I have 3 edge.
Target roll of 6 plus 1 is 7.
All right. 17. There we go.
You smash right through that thing, and it is just shattered. As the plate shatters under the incredible impact of your stone fists, the echoes around you all of a sudden just fade, and the world is quiet once again.
And that's one trap disarmed. Wait, I never disarmed that other trap. I turned back around.
It is still there. The shimmering haze.
Is it like centered on something?
It's just this sort of shimmering, like carpet almost, that kind of covers where those tree roots meet the mossy terrain of the mountain pass.
I'm gonna grab a rock and just chuck it at the middle of that illusion.
Just in general, you're just gonna chuck it there? All right. I'll make that a might task. I'm going to make it 1 level more, like you're going to be hindered by a step because you don't know exactly what you're targeting. So the
That's
difficulty here is a level 5 with a target roll of 15. You have a free level of effort, so it's now back to a 4. Difficulty of 12.
Right, and I can't really use 2 hands on it directly attacking this since I'm just using a rock.
Yeah, and since you don't know where it is.
So, all right, we'll go with that.
Great.
90. There we
19.
go.
Boom. It is destroyed, and there is a minor effect. If I may suggest a minor effect, it might be that as Frode gets all this kind of momentum from the combat, maybe you get a free recovery roll's worth of points to put back in some of your pools. You get this kind of like burst of adrenaline as you're like, this is fun. I can do this, you know.
I would love that.
Great.
Also, I forgot to give an XP away. I was going to give that to Willard. I was waiting for a right time to say that and forgot.
Okay. Willard has that.
that,
And with that, we'll cut over to Willard. Willard and Davroid, the two of you, as Armis and Frode are working their way through these traps, the two of you are finally arriving at the lightning-struck tree. This huge, it's just the trunk and a couple of branches, all charred, black as anything, sticking up into the sky, kind of silhouetted under what's now probably a 1:30 or a 2 p.m. sun. And you can see that there is a huge anchor point in the ground. That's too much time skip. It's like a noon 15 sun, since he was only going 30 minutes away. So it's like a noon 15 sun. There's this huge iron thing that's been like anchored into the ground, and there's a really high quality rope kind of tied into it. And you can see, looking over the edge, for you and your notes, this is map number 2. But for chat here, I'm going to switch to what they see. They are up at this rappelling point on the top right of the map here, the northeastern corner. You can see there's a well-worn footpath beneath you, basically straight down the path here, or the sheer side of the mountain pass. This is not a traversable path for like any traveler. It's a well-worn footpath. So like hikers have been going through here enough that you can see, instead of individual boot prints, there's just kind of some compacted dirt. But it's still a pretty steep slope leading down the side of this ravine. You definitely wouldn't want to like wheel a cart or something like that up it. And you can see from where you are, there are some like deep cracks that form these large trenches, probably from water shearing off the side of the ravine when it rains. And you can see that there's like a little cave that's probably been formed by water kind of collecting before it diverts back down the mountain. And from where you are, you can see that although you could cut the rope and make it impossible to climb back up here, which would be the fastest way, there is like, for a determined climber or a hardcore hiker, there's a way from that cave to kind of maneuver through the kind of the side of the ravine here up to the top of the pass and still get back in. So you couldn't completely cut these people off, but you could certainly make their job longer.
Well,
does the cave go by this point? Like, if we cut it off, would they still have to pass us in order to move forward?
Yeah, so they'd still have to get up to this point at the lightning-struck tree. It's just that there's a secondary way up here that looks like it's less used, but you could just climb by hand up the side of the mountain face. It would also, of course, be a little bit more dangerous with the side of this ravine being so steep on the outside.
Can we see where the blue cloak guy is?
Yes, actually, you can see him. He's pretty far away from you, but about as far away as you can see the footpath, he has met up with some number of the other blue cloaks. They're pretty close together, and their cloaks are all kind of fluttering, and it makes it pretty hard to tell individual numbers, at least without a roll. But you can see them down there kind of walking up towards you, or, walking, leaning on, spears and stuff, trying to kind of make the hike a little easier, but headed up in your direction. It's a fairly mid-sized group. They're not an army battalion, but they're bigger than like a little adventuring party.
I'll make a perception roll or intellect roll to perceive and count.
Great. And you've got that ability going, so that's going to make it a little bit easier for you. The difficulty here is 7, eased to a 6 with a target roll of 18.
I have sharp senses, which is I'm trained in all tasks involving perception, so
Great.
it's enabler. And then I have another task. You have an eye for detail. I'm trained in that, so I'm trained in any task involving finding or noticing small details.
Okay, so that's eased it down to a difficulty 4 task with a target roll of 12. Look at you go, detective.
I will take that roll. That is an 8. I would like to spend an XP to re-roll.
Okie doke.
Oh, even worse. That's a 6.
Aw, man. There are too many of them for you to tell their numbers apart. But it's not like they've seen you or anything. You can't tell. With the cloaks and looking down the slope, and the angle is weird, and you're still kind of hiding behind this big tree to try and make sure they don't see you, and it's all very challenging. But yeah, that's what you see right now. They're walking up your direction. You get the sense that you've probably got another 5-ish minutes before they're like ready to climb back up here, or if you divert them, they would have to take another way.
Willard is already cutting the rope.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great.
I'm not stopping
Like
Willard.
I didn't want to interrupt. While Davroid was looking, Willard didn't even look. He was
Great.
just cutting the rope.
Okay, so this is an object of level 5. It's a pretty high quality rope and a high quality iron spike. So you're going to need to damage it and move it down the object damage track. So that's, you can roll an attack just like anything, might or speed. But it's you versus the object. Your knives, you said, are treated as medium weapons, right?
If I'm throwing them,
Oh, okay.
yes.
So
if
your knives might not be sharp enough to do this. To break an object, you need to use an object of equal or higher level.
So if for flavor, tell me if this works.
I'm ready.
Willard gets out a knife and he like starts putting it to the rope, and he like kind of takes a look at the knife, takes a look at the rope, takes a look at his arm. Just kind of looking at, he's not a beefy little mole. He's not buff. He's not like wide. He doesn't have very thick arms. He kind of like, while Davroid has been looking out, he kind of like takes a step back, takes another step back, kind of like does a little like lining up the sights. And I'd like to think that as Davroid starts looking back to tell Willard what he's seen, he just sees Willard just kind of like, yep, that looks about right. And then throw a knife at the rope.
Perfect. So that's going to be a might or speed roll with a difficulty 5.
Okay, and he is specialized in his throwing knives, so that should
4?
ease it by 2.
Oh, great. 3.
Since the specialization.
Yeah.
And he will take that roll. He rolled a nat 20.
Nat 20. I'll let you knock it 2 steps down with a nat 20, unless you want a different major effect.
No, that's a great major effect.
Perfect. So it is 2 steps of the way to completely destroyed. It only needs 1 more level of breakage to get it broken. It's a great throw. Davroid, you turn around just in time to see, I mean, nothing but net, essentially. This knife throw. It's a teeny little throwing knife, and it's like a big, thick, like a boat rope type of thing. And he just, severs halfway through it. All the strands begin kind of hanging and fraying a little bit.
You got this, or do you want me to finish it?
There's a method here.
Willard will take another, like, kind of just grab another knife from the bandolier and then try to do the exact same throw.
Absolutely. Go ahead and roll another task there. Difficulty 5 ease to 3 with your specialization.
He's going to spend an XP to re-roll.
Okay.
He's going to spend another XP to re-roll.
The target roll here is 9.
Josh, really quick.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend 1 action to roll a recovery dice.
Okay.
He may or may not. He's got an abundance of XP. He may or not have spent 3 or 4 of them, but he got a 19.
Great. Success with a minor effect. Do you have a minor effect in mind, or would you like me to suggest one as you slice cleanly through the remainder of the rope and it, begins falling away?
Could the minor effect be that it falls silently? Like it doesn't smack the ground and alert the people far away that it's like, hey, something weird's going on.
Yeah, that's a great minor effect. So you slice the rope, and because it's such like a thick, heavy rope, instead of spiraling away when the tension is released, it just kind of, lands on the cliff top and then very slowly slithers away as it falls down, coiling into a neat little pile at the base of the cliffs. At the same time, Davroid is just kind of catching his breath next to you.
All right, Willard. So we got a little bit of time. How do we want to just wait for them here? Ambush them?
I'd like to have something.
And Willard will look at the lightning struck tree.
I'd like to have something that we can prepare something surprising with.
And he would like to take a few steps towards the tree. And I forget how much XP spend this is, but he would like to find a cipher.
Okay.
He's just looking for a cipher, something interesting.
That's a single XP to create any cipher, or you can spend 2 XP to tell me what kind of cipher you find.
Oh, well, this is a somewhat vague prompt, but something that can be used to stun, something that can be used to delay.
Great.
Bad guys.
Lightning struck the tree here and dislodged a boulder. You find a small sort of shockwave cipher, and you can roll a d6 to figure out what level it is. But this shockwave will be disorienting. It's going to be all sound. So think thunder, not lightning. So it's going to be very disorienting and probably enough force in very close range to like dislodge a creature, knock back 10 feet, something like that. But it's not like it's going to kill anybody. unless you throw them off a cliff, I guess.
And if I remember correctly, ciphers generally are activated and they're centered on you. Is that correct?
Yes, they're centered
Okay.
on you. So in your case, what we'll say is the... it's the easiest way. We'll say it's directed outward from you, so you don't suffer any effects from it. So it's sort of like a clap of thunder emanating out of you that would knock creatures back or dazzle them.
So Willard rolled a 2, so that would be a level 2.
Great.
He will kind of go up to the tree, and I'd like to think that the trunk, parts of it have been broken off, and there's a part of the trunk that's like hollow, and he's able to he takes a peek and he can see something crackling inside. He reaches his little claw in, grabs the cipher. It like lightning kind of crackles through his arm, and he looks at Davroid and goes,
Well, I fit kind of nice and cozy right in there.
in that little hollow part of the tree that he just grabbed the cipher out of.
I could sit in there, and this will do something that'll probably they won't like.
When you attune to a cipher, you fully understand how it works. So you know like exactly what the cipher does. Just so you can flavor it however you want, but just so you know, Willard is capable of understanding and using the cipher exactly how it's written.
This will do something they don't like, also known as really hurt their ears. But I can be here to set up the surprise ambush. What do you want to do?
I'm going to go to the other side, the beginning of the cave. I have a cipher of invisibility and some sneaky things I'd like to try to do upon their arrival.
Oh, so you're
No,
going
I
to
did
head
just
down
cut that
the
rope.
You're going to head down a little bit to the cave because you know they have to pass that way now?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't fall. I'm sorry. I should have asked. I did just cut that rope.
No, sorry, not towards the the part down the mountain, just the exit on the top of.
Okay.
Oh, I see. So you're just staying up by the lightning struck tree.
Yeah, or closer to where the cave lets out, but yes.
Great. And you said you're using invisibility?
I will when I know they're closer.
Okay. You watch as they kind of get to the foot of it and they look at the rope and they start talking to each other. And it's a little hard to hear them with the wind, but you distinctly hear them kind of murmuring. And one of them goes, too clean to be like, an animal or something. And they all kind of like, flutter their cloaks around them purposefully and kind of duck into the cave. As they do, you finally get a count on them. There are 7 blue-cloaked figures who are, including the guy who left, so 7 total, who are getting into the cave system here and headed up towards you. You've got 1 round before they appear if you want to do any other kind of preparations or getting ready for them.
I will activate my cipher of invisibility, which lasts for 1 minute.
Awesome. That's going to ease you by 2 steps as you try and hide from them. So I'm going to need a speed task with a difficulty of 7 eased to 5. Target roll of 15.
You said speed?
Yes, speed task.
Okay. I have 1 edge, so I'd like to spend a level of effort.
Great. Now it's a 4.
I think that's all that can help me other than just being invisible, so I will take the 4.
Excellent. Target roll of 12.
Ooh, that is a natural 1.
Natural 1. Natural 1 comes with a free GM intrusion and everything. My GM intrusion is that they don't spot you at first, but as they emerge from the cave system, they disturb a creature that lived in the cave system. A mama owlbear and her 2 cubs get disturbed, and so they're in the cave system. They wake up this beast. They obviously attack it, and it comes barreling out of the cave system directly towards you and Willard. And even with you being invisible, you are right in its path. So I'll give you 1 more speed roll to try and jump out of the way of this angry mama bear, Owlbear, as she and her 2 cubs come barreling out of the cave, rushing towards you.
I'm going to spend a level of effort.
Okay.
So, did you tell me the difficulty?
Oh, I don't know if I did. She's a level 6 creature, so with 1 level of effort, it's a difficulty 5 task.
I will use another level of effort.
Great. Difficulty 4, target roll of 12.
And I will stick with that.
Okay. Target roll of 12.
That is a 9.
It's a 9.
Oh.
You are just smacked aside as this owlbear. It doesn't even really notice as it hits you, but you are flung into the side of the cliff face here. Mike, roll any die. I'm going to call odds. If it's an odd number, then Davroid is knocked off of the cliff and back down into the mountain pass. If it's an even number, then he's able to grab something and hold himself up there, maybe the side of the tree itself.
Let's go. Odd.
Oh no!
Oh, no.
No.
Davroid plummets away. Good thing you did that recovery roll. Back into the main mountain pass. Davroid, you are flung past. Your arms reach out in slow motion for the rotted tree trunk, this lightning struck tree, and then in that like blink of an eye, you miss, and your hand closes on nothing. Willard, from within the tree, you watch as Davroid's hand sticks out of the invisibility for just a second before the rest of the cloaking kind of envelops him again, and then he plummets down towards the top half of this tree, essentially, that has fallen onto the ground. Davroid, you fall maybe I would say a medium distance, like a far distance, essentially. So we're going to say that's 4 points of ambient might damage as you slam into the tree trunk. It would be more, but luckily for you, this thing that's fallen is kind of rotting, and so you crunch into it. There's now an outraged owlbear just shrieking up by the lightning-struck tree. And Willard, you are still inside the tree. The mama owlbear has not seen you yet, but she's up there just like roaring. Her 2 cubs are in front of her. She's kind of gathered them protectively under her wings, and she's turned back to the entrance of the cave, where you can hear kind of the hustling of boots and, yelling voices and stuff as the blue cloaked figures come rushing up towards the top here.
Telepathically,
Davroid got hit by an owlbear and he fell on the ground, and the bad guys are coming. Keep hurrying up, guys.
I'm okay. Just fell off a cliff. No big deal.
We're coming.
There are 7 of them.
Don't be a coming. Go keep disarming the traps.
On the way.
We're gonna go ahead. Sorry.
I was say, and then Willard is basically going to keep both eyes on the owlbear and the entrance to the cave. Basically, whichever gets close to the tree with intent first, whether that's the owlbear or the 7 guys, he will use the cipher on. With the intent of it's the owlbear, it may stun it backwards towards the cave and cause it to cause more chaos against the bad guys, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. So because you're preparing an action, I'm going to actually just throw us into initiative order for like the sense of my brain. So we'll do Willard and Davroid together. Then we'll do the 7 blue cloaks. And then we'll do Frode. Then we'll do any environmental stuff. And then we'll do Armis. Frode has a hand up. What's up?
My man so humbly obliged. In the time they did their thing, I'm not sure how much time we did our thing.
These things have pretty much been simultaneous, maybe a tiny bit longer for what they're doing.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I would have time to like potentially disarm one more trap or not.
No, but you could do one now.
Okay,
You've been at the large fallen boulder, so do you want to head over to? There's like a little pond that kind of is revealed as you look around one of the switchbacks of the mountain pass, or you can just kind of enter. There's like a misty section ahead of you.
I feel like the misty section is where they're gonna be headed, right? I'd go whichever way the mountain path leads.
Okay, so like staying on the ground.
Yeah.
Perfect. So you kind of bypass the pond with its gentle, serene, still water in it, and you kind of round a bend and enter this cloud of mist.
I do make a mental note of the pond because it looked beautiful. But
Great.
beyond that,
That's true. You do love glades and ponds and things, don't you? You step into the misty terrain, and as you enter it, you begin to hear just like these little whispers coming out of the mist itself. What are you doing?
I've got time for you whispers. I gotta go rescue a fallen friend. And I'm just gonna try to like, wave away the
Okay.
mist and just keep moving forward.
As you're brushing away the mist, At first, it's working like it's supposed to in the little cloud of mist. I mean, mist doesn't really part. It's not that dense. But, your hand moves through it like it should with mist. And then on one swing, you feel the mist like clinging and grabbing to your hand. And on the swing back, you realize it's no longer mist, it's webbing. And your hand is being tangled up in webs. And on the next swing past, you sort of walk forwards into like this huge full height web that's been strung inside the mist. And I will need you to make a strength roll to not get completely immobilized in this kind of whispering web, if you will.
Armis, do you remember putting a bunch of webbing in a misty area?
I've announced all my gunk.
I think I found your cousin's place.
Oh no. He's
All right. I'll throw a might roll. At this moment, I'm going to use muscles of iron. So for 10 minutes, all might-based actions,
Great.
besides attacks, are eased. That's 2 might points.
Okay.
Free level of effort.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we'll just call it there.
Okay.
15.
15 succeeds. You
Yay.
feel it dragging at you, but with just like the force of your willpower, you kind of muscle through. But you now understand that there's going to be layers of this web to get through in this misty terrain here. And so you may want to formulate a plan for what to do next. As Frode is working his way through that, there are no atmospheric conditions at this moment, so we're going to jump over to Armis, who's back at the mossy terrain where he kind of helped Frode, and now you're kind of torn between, okay, Frode's just gone around the corner and kind of walked into that mist, but I'm supposed to be back here by the entrance. Also, there's still this like poison gas cloud here by the eastern entrance to the mountain pass that we haven't really dealt with yet. It's just kind of sitting there and collecting. What will Armis do?
Oh my god, there's a poison. The poison gas cloud is like encroaching, or it's like in the way of where the people
It's just
are going to be
blocking
coming
the
from.
entrance. It's not like it's moving or billowing outwards. It's just this kind of static, roiling cloud of poisonousness.
Boy, dear me, oh my. He's gonna
Poison? What flavor? Poisonousness.
pick your poison. He's gonna reach into his mind. He's gonna say, "Everybody think they're handling their own situation okay?"
Yes.
Doing our best.
I'll
Okay.
get through it.
All right, great. I'll also go struggle with something.
That's
And
the
I
spirit.
I think he's just gonna go towards the cloud of poison, do a similar thing to Frode and stick his hand in it to see if it's real at first, and go from there.
Okay, you take 6 points of acid damage, ambient acid damage, as you enter the area. And then I need you to roll a speed defense task as 2 big giant rock things slam together from either side of the ravine. This is exactly what happened to Frode on his way in here, so I don't feel at all bad that it's happening to you now, because you've seen it once.
This is the same place. Oh, geez.
Wait, did this happen in the hypothetical what could have been, or did this happen in real life? Now I'm getting those two confused.
Oh, maybe I am too. I don't know. But that's what's happening right now.
There's a big poison thing in the pretend one. Okay, great.
Yeah. Maybe
here
they're the
now.
same. Maybe someone's reusing some notes.
Dear.
Maybe it's the same creatures behind it.
What am I rolling?
You mean the same
speed?
blue cloak?
Yeah, speed to get out of the way of the rocks that are slamming towards you.
Oh dear God! From just sticking my hand in. Jesus Christ, that's a 7.
That's a 7. Boom! The stone from each side slams into Armis, and he takes another 3 points of
Ouch.
might damage. Armis, you've
He's
just
all
been
out of might.
Armis has been pancaked. He is impaired. Or maybe not. Maybe that's not the name of the first step. He's 1 step closer to death.
It's impaired.
Yeah,
okay.
impairs it.
So Armis, you are not feeling great, but you have confirmed that it's real. Mission accomplished in that regard.
We did it.
And that's going to bring us back around to the top of initiative order here, which means it's Willard and Davroid with the blue cloaks and the Owlbear on deck.
Would I be able to climb up this turn?
Yes, but it would be a speed task difficulty 4 because it's a far distance. And if you fail, you're going to fall back down again.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay.
I will climb up.
Davroid kind of struggles back to his feet, pushes rotten tree trunk off of himself, spits out some bark, and begins, the laborious task of climbing straight up the cliff face of this with that lightning-struck tree up above him. You can see the silhouette of the owlbear's wings alternatively flaring outwards to try and scare off the blue cloaks and then curling protectively around her cubs.
Please, dice, be nice to me. Oh, that is a 4.
You have XP?
No.
That's a 4?
Oh,
Yeah.
With a 4, luckily it's not a 1, so I'm not going to make you take the damage for it. But you start the climb and you kind of lose your grip. Maybe your hands are still like kind of shaking a little bit from the adrenaline of your fall. And so it's like you just can't find purchase to get up there. What about not Davroid, Willard?
Willard.
Willard. What about Willard?
Willard would obviously, like I said, his kind of prepared action is if the owlbear gets too close, or once the blue cloaks do, he's going to stun them. In the meantime, he probably will just do a 1-action recovery roll.
Okay.
To get things, kind of take some deep breaths.
Great.
All right, Davroid, how you doing?
Once I climb up, I'll be fine. But this cliff is not very climbable.
As your breath kind of like echoes in your own ears, Willard, you see the owlbear in front of you rear up onto her hind legs as the first 2 blue cloaks kind of poke their heads out of the cave. They are both holding glowing stone obelisks, these dark teal runes on them, activating as they kind of summon this large lightning bolt that comes back down right where the tree, like the same way the tree would have been struck. This next lightning bolt's going to come down and try and strike the owlbear instead. Based on the levels of the 2 swarms, the owlbear is unable to avoid it, and so she's going to take a bunch of damage as this lightning bolt slams into her. She immediately launches into the attack. Ferocious berserk mode, launches back into the cave, leaving her 2 cubs behind her. Her wings, slick back against her body, and she leaps in with her claws extended and just slashes into the first 2 blue cloaks, and they kind of echo back into the cave, and you hear a lot of like screaming and grunting and slamming sounds, but you're not able to really determine who is taking the lead in this particular fight, which is going to bring us over to Frode the Forsaken. Frode, you are standing in some misty terrain with this kind of strange webbing in front of you. Luckily, you're not entangled at this moment, but you kind of hear these weird whispers coming from the web, and you get the sense that if you were entangled, something worse would, befall you.
I just want to say, I do imagine Willard's up there just eating popcorn in his little yeah.
I think of it more like he's trembling every time something comes out of the cave. He's like, please don't see me, please don't see me.
Yeah. Maybe he's doing both. He's eating popcorn and he's trembling.
Tremblingly eating popcorn.
As you do. All right. Armis, how would you get rid of webs real quick if you needed to get rid of them real quick? Armis?
Burn it. Burn it. Burn it.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry you sound very distraught over me destroying web, but if it makes you feel any better, it's not yours.
Thank you. It's my shithead cousins. I remember.
I guess
Armis,
he's gonna look okay.
Around.
No. Very much not. But
Frode,
we'll
your
figure it
visibility
out.
is very much limited in the mist here. If you were going to try and find like flint or something, it would be a difficulty 6 intellect task.
You know what? I'm just gonna. That's not gonna work. Yeah, all right. I guess I'll look for some flint.
For 2 XP, you could find a cipher of a type that you direct.
I know. Can
Okay.
I just spend 1 XP to find a cipher or something?
You could
What
spend
roll?
1 XP for a player intrusion. For example, you could have something useful in your pack. Frode collects all kinds of random junk. Maybe
You know
one
what?
of his little bits of pottery or whatever is actually flint.
Actually, I think technically
you want to create a spark. I could substitute my body for the flint part, but we need something to spark off of like a metal, right? Or is it the other way around? But yeah, I find whatever I need in my pack.
Okay, you find like a big bar of iron or something, maybe a crowbar.
Darling. There we go. All right. I've seen this happen in the stories they tell in the taverns. And I go ahead and start striking it along my arm. Come on. Come on. One of these gotta work.
The webs in front of you suddenly erupt into flame, the mist boiling away as it all just like flash burns in that one moment. As this happens, Davroid, you can see this because you're kind of at the base of that lightning struck tree area. And so looking back, you hear this kind of eruption of fire and you see the mist boil away, and Frode is standing there essentially like beating his shoulder with like a crowbar or something, or maybe a hunting knife or something like that. At the same time, Davroid, you don't see it because you're hidden in the tree, but you hear it kind of over the symphony of sounds echoing out of this cave. Frode, are you going to move at all, or is this going to be that's kind of what you're doing?
If the path is clear, I'll move to the cracked ground.
Great. Yeah, so moving forward out of the kind of where that mist was, the next section of ground here is like highly dried out, and so it's begun to crack and splinter, and we'll find out what you find there next turn. Meanwhile, we're going to jump to like atmospheric effects. There are none, so we're going to check in on Armis. Armis, you are laying on the ground, groaning to yourself as the two boulders retract back into the side of the ravine, this roiling cloud of gas still just kind of floating above you. What will you do?
He's gonna lay there for a minute. He's gonna lay on the ground and he's gonna light up a cigarette and use a recovery roll.
Okay. Not how cigarettes work in the real world, but in this world, I'll let you have it.
It makes me feel
he
good.
uses a recovery roll. And
In my life, that's how they work, Josh.
Well, don't do drugs, kids. And he uses a recovery roll. Are you going to stay where you are? Are you going to move further away? Or is he just like literally taking this moment to recenter?
I think he's just gonna need to think. If I can, I think I can't really use another action. I just want to use an intellect roll for him to think about what he could possibly do. Maybe even pray for some godly figure to give him advice.
Okay. Is he praying sincerely? Like, which way do you want to go? Is he going the analytical way or the religious way?
He's definitely going the analytical way, and that's just a beseechment to you to help me.
Okay. You're praying to me. I see.
Armis possesses the power to break the fourth
Because
wall.
Armis is absolutely lost, so he's going to sit there, smoke his cigarette. and
Difficulty
try and
4 intellect task to get a hint from me
Okay.
as your
great.
insight. Target roll 12.
Remember, everyone also has a free one-time use of an asset.
I'm going to use that easement
Great.
for today. So I'll take that down. 16, didn't need it. Beautiful.
Awesome. As you think back on Davroid going over the notes from the last time you dealt with this kind of illusion stuff when it was wild magic instead of intentionally set, you remember him saying that all illusions have an anchor point somewhere in the world. So you don't need to cross through the entire cloud of gas. You need to find where it's anchored. And because the cloud is kind of staying static and not moving at all, it's probably either underneath it or on one of the walls of the cavern. It's probably not suspended somewhere in there. So if you can just kind of ring around the edges, you can look for where that anchor point will be, and it should be obvious because it's an illusion. It'll be somewhere where the gas itself, like the illusion of the gas, you'll see like the fake, like the soft boundary of the video game. Like you'll see a corner where there isn't a corner or something like that kind of appearing as if the gas were in a container, except there's no container there. So you're looking for that out of place point. And with that roll on the next turn, I'll let you roll it as a difficulty 2 task to find it, having had that insight. So as you lay there smoking, you're like, oh, right, I didn't need to touch it.
That's right.
That brings us around to the top of initiative order to Willard and Davroid. Willard and Davroid, well, let's start maybe up here with what Willard sees. Davroid, it's kind of the same for you. You're at the base of the mountain. You hear some combat sounds echoing back down to you from the top of the ravine, but you can't see anything. Willard, from within the tree, you hear that the fight is progressing, but it sounds like the blue cloaks are winning. You've begun to hear the sound of arms. So you're hearing swords being drawn and slashed. You hear a couple of firearms going off. You hear the sound of another cipher, and there's a brief glow from inside the cave echoing back towards you. And then eventually the owlbear does come pelting back out again. She's now bleeding from several large cuts, and she scoops up her cubs and leaps into the air with her wings stretching out to the side like she's trying to flee. She is being pursued by 4 of the blue cloaks. You don't know if the other 3 are in reserve or if they are dead, but 4 blue cloaks have come rushing out of the thing, and they are acting as a swarm. So they're like they're all looking towards the same purpose. They're watching her. None of them have seen you in your kind of shadowy hole inside the tree. They do not come towards you right in this moment, but you could spend a player intrusion to steer them there if you wanted.
Okay, so they're not currently in range?
No, they're not in range because she leapt off the cliff. So they're now going to like fan out and start shooting at her with ranged weapons.
Well, then either whether it's a player intrusion or an action, which I guess it would be better if it was a player intrusion, so my action could be to use the cipher. Willard would like to make some sort of noise from within the tree, imitate whether it could be another owlbear or some other creature that would cause them to get distracted and start heading towards the tree instead. Okay, is what Willard would like to do. Maybe like an owlbear cub.
Sure. What's your best owlbear cub?
Willard's best owlbear cub is something like.
They all of their eyes snap over and they go, "She left one behind!" And they begin moving towards the tree. They all kind of switch back from switching to guns. They switch back from their guns to their melee weapons. Swords come out. One of them draws a baton, and they all move towards the tree. And they do enter the exact position that you were looking for as you spend that XP on this intrusion. All of them kind of clustered around the tree itself.
Okay, Willard will then peek his head up above the tree and point. Well, no, he won't point first. First, he'll say, "Here's a storm for you," and he'll point his finger out and activate the cipher of Shockwave level 2 to
awesome.
Send them back.
Excellent. You knock them all back a little bit. One of them falls to the ground completely dazed, hands over his ears. His eyes he looks like maybe there's a concussion. His pupils are dilating a little weird, and he kind of falls to the ground. The other 3 are knocked prone, but they don't appear to be dead or anything like that. And we're going to roll another D. I'm going to have Cleo roll a D6. If the D6 is odds, then the 3 in the cave are okay. But if it's evens, then it's going to echo through the cave and kind of amplify, and the 3 in the cave will also be disabled by this attack.
Unless they're dead.
Oh, no, they're in the cave.
They totally could
I'll give
be
that
dead.
one away for you.
Oh,
they're in the cave.
I got a 4. What was that?
It's an even. On evens, good things happen for the players. So that it reverberates through the cave, and you hear a couple more, the sound of a sword dropping to the stone floor kind of a thing as they fall to their knees. So there are only 3 active combatants for the next 2 rounds. And then after that, those who are not concussed, 1 is concussed, he's gone. 3 active, 3 in the cave who will get up in 2 rounds and rejoin the fight.
Okay, Willard would like to telepathically communicate that to everybody.
Great.
There's, as far as who's where and whether they're active.
Yeah, everybody knows that. And Davroid, what are you up to? You climbing back up?
Climbing back up.
Great.
You said it's 4, right?
Yeah, difficulty 4. Speed task.
That's a 15.
All right. As that kind of shockwave reverberates, Davroid reaches the last 2 handholds of his climb and pulls himself back up. So in front of you, one of the blue cloaks has been kind of concussed and just fallen to his knees, hands over his ears. And then the other 3 have been knocked backwards and are laying on the ground, but they're not unconscious or anything.
Can I do anything else, or is that my whole turn?
That would be your whole turn.
Okay.
and that's going to bring us over to environmental effects, which there are none. So I guess Frode next. So Frode, no, it's the bad guy's turn. They didn't get a turn, did they? Rip them, because Willard got his move. So the three who are on the ground are going to start getting up again. But they're still a little disoriented from this wave of attacks, so they're going to take the turn to essentially do a recovery roll. They're not going to attack, but they're going to kind of form up and muster into a little bit of a group, hands on shoulders and stuff, helping each other up. You all right, Trent? Kind of a thing. We cut over to Frode, who is kind of approaching the cracked grounds. You haven't stepped into them yet. You're like right in front of the first huge crack that's kind of along the base of the ravine. And just as you're about to take a step, you get this weird feeling, and it's just a feeling. It's just an intuition. Something's wrong here. And you...
that this crack's gonna be awful.
Yeah, you just have this weird feeling. It's almost like a chill kind of racing up. It starts from the foot that nearly touched the ground. You're kind of paused with your foot half in the air as this chill kind of races up your body. And if you had any hair, it would make your hair stand up on end. And you're kind of paused like, oh, something's wrong here.
This isn't right. I back up about 5 feet and I grab a rock. I chuck it in there.
The rock disappears through the ground.
It was that vertigo I was feeling, wasn't it? I walked back up to where I remember my feet were fine.
Yeah.
And then I get on my hands and knees and I dip my head down into the ground.
Okay. You do that. You dip your head into the ground. You get through the illusion, which is the illusion of ground, right? The cracks in the ground are obviously false. You see the stone that you threw is only about, it's only a little ways down, maybe 6 feet down as you stick your head through. And you see that down in there, laying on its back, hands, skeletal, claw-like shapes, a skeleton, like in a grave, reaches up and grabs your head and tries to yank you into the crypt with it.
Whoa, buy me dinner first.
Make a speed task with a difficulty of 5 to yank your head out of the way. If you fail, you're going to just take the damage from the thing pulling you into the trap with it.
Can I argue instead of trying to pull away, I just grab the ground and use a might?
You can, because when you did that, your webcam shook and it looked really cool and intentional. So yeah, I'll give that to you. Frode is just going to try and batten down the hatches. He's got that ability going that's going to ease the task from a 5 to a 4. So it's a difficulty or a target roll of 12 for this task.
All right. Free level of effort, never
Free
forget.
level of effort, never forget. So
we're going
target roll of 9.
right. We got a 14.
Okay. You successfully hold. I'm going to offer a GM intrusion that the trap deploys a sort of second mechanic that it didn't have, which will not damage you, but will be horrifying. Will you accept or dismiss the GM intrusion?
Frode needs those XP points.
Frode, as you hold tight into your position and the skeleton yanks you down, the skeleton yanks its torso back off of the arms, which are now loose, and begins scuttling towards your neck. They are not able to get the chokehold right now, but there's now a pair of skeletal arms, like disembodied, that are going for the chokehold. And if they're still on you by the next round, they're going to try and choke you. So that's what's happening with Frode as he ducks his head in through the illusion to see what's down there. We cut over to Armis laying on the ground with a cigarette, kind of taking stock of his life and this big cloud of poison gas above him. You can kind of hear it rumbling maybe.
Armis is impaired. I'll give him that XP from the GM intrusion.
Okay. Armis, what'll it be?
A cheeseburger. Hold the fries. Sorry.
Double cheeseburger and hold the lettuce.
He's gonna lay there. He's gonna take a big old puff. Okay, back in the game. he's gonna do like a little go back and jump onto his feet kind of thing. Like a karate guy.
Sweet.
And then he's gonna go and just start skittering around looking for the point of this illusion.
Excellent. Intellect task difficulty of 2 because of your insight you had in the last round.
Yeah! Oh, that's an 8. Yay!
That beats a 6. That'll do it.
Yeah.
You are able to find, there's kind of a rune that's been etched into the rock that you are certain is the trigger of this. So you would just need to like scratch it out or cover it up or, whatever. And you are able to do that if you can find a narrative way that you do it. But like, I'm not going to make you roll for it. You just need to tell me how you fix it.
Cover it up, you say?
Yes, you could web it.
I'm a gunk that rune, baby!
And you do.
And I do. And to be super safe, I'll like fucking, pardon my language, if I could just grab a rock off the wall and scrape it a little bit first and then gunk it to make sure it's super gone.
Sure.
Don't want anyone ripping my webbing off when it come back.
Got it. Yeah, so you do that, and behind you, you hear this kind of like as the mist kind of dissipates. And there is finally like clear air, and you can see out the end of the mountain pass. And looking out the end of the mountain pass, you can see way out, speck in the distance, headed towards the mountains. There is a diplomatic convoy from the city of Gaim headed your direction. You do not have very long, maybe a half hour, maybe an hour before they arrive here. And that.
Yep.
That
That's
brings
fine.
us back to the top of initiative order, which means that it's going to be Willard and Davroid's turn. Willard has just stepped away from his microphone, so we're going to start with Davroid. Davroid, you've got 3 blue cloaks who are kind of, getting their stuff together and kind of rallying. You've got 1 who is disabled on the ground next to you, and then some unknown number in the caves.
I'm still invisible, right?
You are still invisible.
Okay. Would attacking break the invisibility, or would I stay invisible if I attack?
What level was your invisibility?
I'm gonna guess 2 since it lasts. Or no, I don't know what level. I just have it last for a minute, so maybe 1.
If it just says it lasts for a minute, then no, that's not gonna break it.
Okay.
It would go for a whole minute, so you've got like 3 rounds left, 3 or 4 rounds.
Cool. I'm gonna pull out my axe and I'm going to attack the closest one to me that isn't the concussed one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're essentially a swarm, so you can just say I'm going to attack the blue cloaks. And because they are a swarm, I'm going to add their levels together a little bit here, so it's a difficulty 6 task to hit them because they are 1 level 6 creature at the moment. That constitutes the whole group here.
Can I get any easing from being invisible that they don't actually know that I'm there?
Sure, I'll ease it 1 step for that. That totally makes sense. Difficulty 5, target roll 15.
Then I am practiced with axe.
Great. Now it's a difficulty 4. Target roll of 12.
I think, and it's a might task?
Might or speed. You get to choose when you're attacking. Based on how you attack, essentially.
I'll do might and use a level of effort.
Sounds good. So that's a difficulty 3 now?
Yes.
3? Yeah. So target roll of 9.
14.
14.
And the damage is 4.
You do 4 points of damage. One of the blue cloaks just goes down. I don't know if he's dead or unconscious, but he's out of the fight. As you slam your axe into one of them, I mean, he had no guard up against you, didn't see you coming. You just step forward and wail into him with the axe. Davroid, Willard, from your point of view, still like in the tree, kind of looking at your handiwork. You see these 3 guys like start getting up, and then one of them, completely unexplained, just goes flying like 6 feet into the distance as like a huge cut appears in his torso as Davroid slams into him with the axe.
Everyone hears in their head, I'm tired of this shit.
Willard, as the detective snaps, what will you do this turn?
Willard, as soon as he sees one of them go flying, is just going to turn his attention to one of the other ones that are standing and just throw a knife. Do what he's got to do from his high vantage point in the tree.
Excellent. Go ahead and roll. They are, as there's only 2 in the swarm now, it's a level 5 creature. Target roll of 15.
Okay, so he is specialized in his throwing knives, so that goes down to
3.
a level 3, and he will make that roll.
Target roll of 9.
And he rolled an 8, and he has an abundance of XP, so he's going to re-roll. And he rolled a natural 20.
Yeah, he did. Natural 20. You easily kill the next creature, and you get a major effect. What's your major effect?
I would like the... Oh, what would the major effect be?
You could delay the other 3, I think.
Oh, yeah, maybe something like maybe either the body that Davroid threw or the one that the throwing knife hits, they just like roll back down to the point where they roll into the cave and like somehow delay the other 3 in there. They're like, what?
Sure,
the
they
heck?
like stop to check vitals and try and help their guys. So that'll hold them off for another round. Great. So then this round, they're not going to enter combat. So there's only one more blue cloak left standing, and it is his turn now. He looks up at the two, well, at the one of you. Davroid's invisible, so he looks up at Willard and he goes, "You! It's the guy they told us about. It's one of this group, the crew, the guys from Hemblyhoo." And he's going to leap towards you, and you see as he leaps towards you, he pulls a like an artifact of some kind out of his belt. And it sort of glows as he activates it, and these sort of glowing like manacles appear on either side of it as he leaps towards you. And you've got a hand up, Trevor. What's up?
Are reactions a thing in Cypher system?
Player intrusions are a thing in the Cypher system.
I don't have XP for player intrusion.
Then no,
Never mind.
not for you. He's going to leap towards Willard. And Willard, I need you to make a difficulty 4 speed task, which is going to be hindered by 1 because you're crammed into a tree, to avoid being hit by this artifact. So it's a difficulty 5, target roll of 15 speed task to avoid this.
He is going to use at least a level of effort. Actually, he might use 2 levels of effort. He's going to use 2 levels of effort.
Great. Difficulty 3, target roll of 9.
All right.
You got this, Willard.
He's like trying to like keep his like bottom half still in the tree, but like kind of almost like Matrix dodge backwards. What's going on? That's a 9 he rolled.
It's a 9. The target was 9 because you used it to a 3.
There you go.
So you like lean back out of the way, and he reaches over you with the cuffs. I'm going to threaten you with a GM intrusion that he's going to try and grab you with his other hand that doesn't have the cuffs in it. So he's going to go for another grapple to try and restrain you.
He is going to. I will not refuse. I will take that.
Okay, so that's another
XP to Davroid.
Great. That's another speed task. The difficulty of 4 on this one because he's not using the magical thing, and he's already up close with you, so the tree's negated. So difficulty 4, target 12 speed.
He's gonna straight roll that.
He is speed.
I once again rolled exactly what I needed to roll. 12.
12.
Yay.
Perfect. You again. You're like. It's just that you're so short. You're like weaving left and right as this guy tries to grab you. Come here. Come here. And that's going to bring us over to Frode the Forsaken. Frode, there are 2 skeletal hands maneuvering across your neck. And there's still this weird kind of shimmering mirage in front of you where the crypt has been opened, but then covered up with a fake ground here. And you're, as far as I know, you still are like crouching on the ground with your head just like firmly held in place, anchored, as these skeletal hands move across you. What will you do?
All right, well, now that the hands aren't anchored to something, they're just on me, I'm just going to sit up and grab the wrist joints or whatever of the arms and just rip them off me.
Okay. Strength roll, difficulty 2 for disembodied bone hands. You get your free level of effort, so that's a 1. Target roll of 3. And actually, I guess you have a free level of effort too, don't you? So, like, because you have your ability and your free level of effort. So it's a difficulty 0. So you just do it. You just rip them right off your
rolled
neck.
Anyway.
Okay, good for you. I don't care what the number was. You have already succeeded. So you've ripped the skeletal hands off of you. They're just kind of flailing and, reaching towards you, like that scene in Pirates of the Caribbean. Just like, kind of reaching towards you. What will you do?
That's not very nice. And I throw him back in the hole.
You throw him back in the hole. You hear a little bit of like... And then
don't waste time.
And then the skeleton hand is gonna reach back out of the hole. So now there's just a skeleton arm reaching out of the crack in the ground as it's reattached, but the skeleton's gonna pull itself up to try and fight you. What are you up to?
I'm moving over to the side of the wall of this ravine.
Okay.
Finding a nice sturdy rock, boulder perhaps.
Okay.
I'm just gonna dislodge it and shove it down on top of this hole.
Sure. You find there's like a little plateau that's been cut into the side of the ravine by some weather event in the past, and the piece of rock that fell when that weather event happened is just sitting there. And so you grab that and just heave it towards where the skeleton is. Make a might task with a difficulty of 4. This is not about your strength to move the rock, which is unquestioned. It is about, can you get the surge of strength to move it before the skeleton climbs out?
All right. Still a might task, though, right?
Yes. So,
right.
gosh dang it, eased by 2 steps for all your free stuff. Difficulty of 2, target roll of 6.
Hey, don't hate the plan.
I don't.
Hate the game.
I think it's great.
Can I make this easier? Just to be sure about it. I'm scared because I rolled a 1 and a 2 those times I used XP. I have an XP. What's the worst that could happen? I'm gonna re-roll that.
Oh, come on.
And I burned my karma for asking what's the worst that could happen, so this is gonna be fine. And it is. It's a 16.
It's a 16.
Yay.
Just with kind of a loud,
Go.
the stone that you push kind of thuds back in there, and you hear the kind of bones crackle as the skeleton is smashed back down into what was, I guess, some kind of traveling crypt. Maybe someone who died by the roadside and, a traveling bard or something gave them some funeral rites and just kind of buried them where they lay. But you have now just covered that. Also, the illusory cover just fizzles out as this huge boulder kind of falls in place. So the road is bumpier, but real now. As you kind of stand over the cracked ground, clapping your hands together, shaking the dust and bone griddle off of them. And that's going to take us over to Armis. Armis, you're now standing at the eastern entrance to this mountain pass. Again, you can see the cart in the distance, the envoy from Gaim, but they're not close enough to see you or be, they're not close enough to be a concern yet. They're just coming.
We have 30 minutes, right?
Yeah, about 30 minutes.
Yeah, some time. I heard some disturbing sounds once I turned that thing off, so I think I'm gonna look around for whatever the heck that was.
Okay.
Those bug-like noises.
Great. Make an intellect task with a difficulty of... Jake, roll a d6. Tell us what the difficulty is for this intellect task.
A 4.
A 4. Target
I'm
roll
sorry.
of 12.
Okay.
I wish I rolled a 1.
I am sharp-eyed. I'm trained in
You are
anything
that.
that's perception. That'll be fine. That's fine. That's good enough. That's enough. 13.
13. That beats a 12.
Bingo.
Well done. Well rolled. As you are looking around, you see that in the wall of the ravine, behind where one of those pancake trap boulders came out and recently flattened you, there is a golem of some kind that is resetting that trap. There are little constructs in the walls of the ravine. And you can infer from having seen that there must have been one that was running off of the trap you just disabled. And that's what that kind of sound was a mechanized or a golem creature kind of disactivating.
So I've only done the poison. You said there's a gap where all this is in?
It's behind the sides of the ravine. So at this point, they've kind of reset and thunked in place, but you kind of spotted the mechanism before it happened.
Goodness. I want to make sure this is safe. I don't want to solve all my problems with gunk.
No,
why not?
Don't lie. You totally do.
I really do. I really love it, and I would just like to try and if I can put some extra effort in it, or some use some XP for an intrusion to make it super strong webbing to try and just basically gunk weld this rock shut.
Gunk
Is that
Well
possible?
done, my good and faithful servant.
You get paid good for gunk welding.
I don't think. Well, you know what? Spider silk is really strong. So
It's very
I
tensile
will
strength on that, stronger than anything.
I will let you roll it, but it's going to
Okay.
be a difficulty 6, target roll of 18, and it's probably a smite task, maybe, because it's like the strength of your gunk is what you're trying to.
You know,
Yeah.
it's all about not about how much gunk you use, but how you use it. See, it's very strong, but the skill to use its strength is what it really is.
Go off, Queen. Go
Perhaps it's all about knowing the angles and the math and
Yeah.
the
You really need
calculations
an engineering
and the physics.
degree to be a gunk welder, you know?
So,
Perhaps difficulty 6 was too easy.
Ah!
I would like to use 2 levels of effort.
Okay.
If possible.
Difficulty
That's-
4, target roll of 12 to gunk weld. If this is what you spend your 3 XP to codify into a long-term skill.
I was absolutely about to say I'm going to use 3 XP to.
Well, let's see
become
if it works.
fully
Then I'll give
certified
you
gunk welder.
If it works, I'll give you the narrative basis that you can then codify
Okay,
it into a
okay.
skill.
All right, great. I'm trying extra hard. I'm rubbing my hands together. I'm going to be trying just like really kind of tense myself up and feel all my fibers in my arms start to solidify and become
angles,
a
numbers.
greater gunk.
A GG, perhaps.
All right, here we go. Oh, that's strong gunk. That's a 17.
Easy. Armis, you channel something you didn't even know you had inside yourself. All eight of your arms and legs. You stood on your butt, and all 8 of your arms and legs just boom, gunk weld this thing into the wall. And then you, like, just to test it, as is your way, you reach a hand where the trap would be, and you see the wall shift a tiny bit, but it does not pancake. It does not activate, and you have successfully gunk welded this trap shut.
He is so happy after being smushed by these things. Nothing is greater than the power of gunk!
Echoing down the length of the cavern.
Gunk, 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 gunk! Oh, you cut to the travelers off in the distance. What?
If that's the only sign that we were here, that's a good thing, honestly.
Okay, that's going to bring us back to the top of initiative order, which is going to bring us to Willard and Davroid. What will the two of you do? As a reminder, there is one remaining blue cloak. He is like right up in Willard's business trying to capture him, and he's yelled back to his companions in the cave behind him. His companions, however, have like real quick stopped to check the vitals of their buddy, so they're not going to enter combat this round. They'll enter combat next round.
Willard has a plan. Because as was discovered and discussed and codified in a previous session, Willard is trained in hard landings.
Oh, okay.
From experience of being tossed and thrown by stone people in his life.
Wonder what caused that.
Great.
Yeah. So Willard is going to, instead of being grappled by this guy, he's going to grapple him and try to tumble backwards with him and make him take the brunt of a fall out of the tree.
Like the Harry Potter thing. Let's finish this the way we started,
Yes,
Tom.
exactly.
Like, yank him back.
Exactly.
Great. 2 shin-sized mole grabs full adult humanoid and
Yes.
yanks backwards off of tree trunk, and they plummet towards the ground. It is a difficulty 4 speed task to avoid the fall damage. However, because you are trained or specialized.
Trained.
Okay, so eased by 1 to difficulty 3, target roll of 9 to avoid the damage.
Mm-hmm. All right. He's expertly maneuvering this man midair. I kid you not, that's a nat 20. I'm
Nat
rolling.
20. Success with a major effect. What's the major effect?
Can the major effect be that he falls down and triggers the next trap with this guy's body, but he is safe? Does that make
Oh
sense?
yeah, like the next guy gets caught in the trap, or the blue
Yeah.
cloak gets caught in the trap.
Yeah,
excellent.
the blue cloak gets caught in the trap.
So you fall down, and you essentially, it's like the hero landing, like the 3-point landing with the one hand up in the air, probably with your throwing knife. This guy slams into the ground, and then you hear these kind of dark whispers, and from the shadows of this tree trunk, you've kind of landed on the correct pressure point. You see actual shadows sort of wrapping around him, like something out of Full Metal Alchemist, like just kind of stretching over his body and entombing him. And as that's happening, you hear him start to, and the energy, kind of darkness and whispers over top of him. And suddenly he's just like gone.
Oh. I figured out the next trap. Don't know how to stop it.
I heard some screaming. Y'all are negotiating with these people, right?
Davroid, what are you
talking
doing?
it out?
Yes.
So there's one that was concussed, right?
Yeah, concussed guy's out of the fight. He's just on the ground kind of next to you. And then there is some indeterminate number in the cave. You don't know how many there are.
Is
Willard
concussed?
thinks maybe 3.
Yeah. Is he conscious?
Yeah, he's conscious. He's just out of the fight. He's like completely disoriented. He's kind of
Okay.
rocking back and forth on his knees with his hands over his ears.
Could I take the cloak of the slain guy that I knocked down?
Yeah.
Put that on while still maintaining invisibility and walk into the cave to scope out without being detected.
So to clarify, are you trying to be a floating blue cloak, or are you trying to still be invisible, but when the invisibility drops, you have a cloak on?
When the invisibility drops, I'll have the cloak on.
Okay. You enter into the cave, and you see kind of a tense conversation. You see there are 3 of them, 3 blue cloaked figures in there, and 2 of them are on the ground kneeling by the bodies of their companions, checking pulses and stuff. They're like, this isn't good, Cap. One of them goes, this guy's not going to make it. We're going to have to give him the Black Mercy. And the other one goes, I think that Trent's going to make it, but we need to get him back to base. And they're just having that conversation. You're invisible for the moment, so they've not spotted you.
Yeah, I'm gonna continue eavesdropping this conversation for now, but I'm gonna stay close to them.
Okay. They essentially, the conversation, it's a quick one. Essentially, the captain is like, the guy who can be saved, get him out of here. And Blue Cloak, minion number 2 or whatever, picks him up and takes Trent back down the cave and the way that you saw them coming from. The captain himself is going to draw a cipher and kind of click, or not a cipher, an artifact, and click it. You're going to see it kind of activate, and you recognize that whatever this thing does, it's going to be sensory. Like, you're just so used to sensory effects with your separating mind from body. This may see through your invisibility.
Okay. While the 2 that get up before the effect is started, while they're doing all of this, I want to slip a coin into the pocket or the person. It doesn't matter where on their person it is, just somewhere that's easy to reach.
Okay.
Slip a coin onto one of them.
Okay. Into the unconscious guy or the conscious guy?
No, yeah, the unconscious will be easier.
Okay. The unconscious guy, you slip a coin into him. As you do that, the other guy who's like, yeah, we're going to have to give him the Black Mercy, just draws a dagger and slices the other guy's throat to put him out of his misery. And it's just like a quick and dirty end. And then the captain's going to pull out that artifact and activate it. And so now there's 2 of them in the tunnel with you. The artifact is going to disable any kind of stealth or sensory effects in the cave system, and so your invisibility drops, but your blue cloak is on. He's going to look up and be like, what are you doing there? And we're going to cut from there to Frode the Forsaken, who is kind of standing over what was formerly cracked ground, but is now just kind of a large boulder in the ground. Cleo, what you doing?
I do have a clarifying question for myself, just to make sure I kept that straight. Did Davroid put that coin in the dead man's pocket, or in the unconscious man being carried away?
2 injured men in there. The one who's being carried away, who is unconscious, has a coin in his pocket. The one who couldn't be saved and was going to bleed out, they just executed to try and protect him from the agonizing slow death.
Just wanted clarification.
That's fine. You have it.
All right.
We can kind of exit initiative order at this stage because there's really only one set of combatants left, and they're all with Davroid. So we'll just do the 3 of you, and then we'll cut back to Davroid.
I'll walk over. Yeah. I'll walk over to the large fallen boulder on the way. I'll just be like, you guys are negotiating, right? I heard some screaming, and I'd be terribly disappointed if we didn't find some way to tell these boys that perhaps they're in the wrong.
I picture this like tense moment with Invisible Davroid in the cave system, and he's watching someone get killed, and then the camera cuts back to like we just see the boulder, and then Frode just casually one arm like you guys are negotiating, right? As he like walks through where the boulder was.
And as Frode does that, he sees Willard like standing above these black tendrils taking in this bad guy. And Willard just kind of looks up and waves a claw and is just like, yep, negotiating.
And that was an accident, right?
Yes. It's a terrible accident that has befallen these men. It's a tragic day in Storm Company history.
There's a ghost attacking these people.
Are you saying that telepathically or out loud?
Telepathically.
Okay.
A ghost? Oh, man, quite unlucky. You never want to piss off a ghost. By the way, just to clarify, large fallen boulder. Is anything happened there or no? As I walked by,
nothing as you walked by and casually threw the boulder aside.
All right, and I guess now we just got to make sure this last bit. If you want to come with me, Willard, is clear. We'll go up to the gentle waterfall.
As Frode strolls by the tendrils of shadow, reaching out of the ground, it's clear
right
we
here.
just need to look at the waterfall.
You need to see. I mean, you're the trap guy.
Oh wait. Did you not do this? I thought this was all a euphemism thing, and
I wish.
it was like a bit. Oh no! So this is a trap.
Oh yeah, it's creeping the hell out of me. I don't know what it does.
Willard, I'm
I
going to
don't
offer a GM intrusion that as you're standing there talking to Frode, the trap is going to lock onto you and reach out and attack you. You would need to make a speed roll to get away from it.
Sure, yeah, I'll take it.
Okay.
And I'll give that XP to Frode, who's right next to me.
Great. Speed roll difficulty 5. As the two of you were talking, one of the shadowy tendrils just lashes out towards your legs.
Willard, as that happens, you see his little mole eyes widen, and you see a little bit of maybe some of that fear that he's somewhat gotten over the last few months, but at the same time, magic has still freaked him out for a long time. So there's still a bit of that in the back of his head.
Yeah.
But he rolls a 15 on his speed roll. So
excellent.
He's able to, like, that fear is in his eyes for a second, and it just leads him to have this quick reaction time of just like stepping out of the way, be like, oh, yep, still creepy.
You leap out of the way. I'm going to offer you all, in the interest of time, a roll for Frode and a roll for Armis to disable the rest of the traps on the floor of the ravine so that we can jump to the next section of story. Or if you want the puzzle, I can continue presenting you with traps on the ravine, and you can figure out how to solve them.
If you were to somehow quantify,
I wouldn't.
Okay. I don't know. I guess out of Frode character
I
here.
thought the
for a
Frode
moment.
and Armis.
Yeah. Do you think we're gonna get through this in a timely manner? I don't want to hold up things. I would like to enjoy the challenge of a puzzle, but I'll be honest. I'll probably try to brute force most of them.
I'm kind of just feeling a roll right now.
I'm in support of a roll, even, but also that's not my decision because it's not my character. But
sounds like we're rolling. I'll take a roll with any ability you choose, with a difficulty of 5. Target roll of 15 from each of you. You're gonna disable the traps either way. This is determining if you take damage along your journey.
Well, you know me, brute forcing it might. We use that. We use that muscles of iron, of course, the free level of effort.
Right. So it's a 3 for you.
You know what? And just to be safe, we'll use another level of effort.
Okay, so it's a 2 with a target roll of 6.
Because
you did just get an XP in case you have to reroll.
Last time it was target roll of 6. I rolled a 5, so I'm just making. I'm gonna re-roll that.
God.
Every time you lower the difficulty painstakingly, you end up re-rolling. Don't forget, you have to redo your effort if you want. So only your 2 free levels of easing are applied here for your
So
reroll.
far, I've only had to use free effort, but now I do have to reuse that darn. All right. A 6. I got it. I got a 6.
Nice. Frode, describe how you use your might to destroy or disable a trap in which tendrils of shadow are coming out of a rotting tree trunk to drain the life force out of any creatures they entangle. How does that happen?
I'd like to think that as it went towards Willard, and as Willard stepped out of the way, it got me enough time to just walk up, rip the rotting trunk out of the ground, and chuck it off into the side.
The little tendrils like waving out of the back of it as if Team Rocket's blasting off again. Just like fling the street. Great. Armis, what about you?
Armis is going to use intellect.
Okay.
You said it's a 5.
Yeah, with a target roll of 15.
I'm going to use, because he just really wants this to be done and wants to get it over with. He's still very embarrassed about being squished and burned.
Nobody knows.
So he's going to use all his might and use the cipher expand intellect to ease this by 4.
Great. Target roll of 3. Or you could apply 1 level of effort and it would be guaranteed.
Yeah, I'm going to do 1 level of effort.
Great. Armis, describe how you use your intellect to disable a trap that triggers a gout of fire that surrounds you with auditory screams like a banshee that would disable you.
A thing of fire that makes it sound like banshee?
Yeah.
It's just my instinct just wants to say he screams even louder.
Frode flings a tree, and in the distance, you just hear Armis's voice shrieking. So this poor diplomatic envoy, they've heard gunk, 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 and then just roar! Excellent.
Are you sure we're heading the right way?
Davroid, your invisibility is disabled as this cipher is activated, or this artifact is activated by the Blue Cloak captain. And he says, "What are you doing here? Who are you? Wait, the cloak, what?"
The other 2 have died. I used a cipher to get out.
They died
Josh.
from the owlbear?
I'm going to use an ability called Perfect Stranger. I alter my posture and way of speaking and makes a small real alteration to an outfit, i.e. the cloak.
Okay.
For the next hour. Even creatures that know me well don't recognize me. All tasks related to hiding my identity during this period gain 1 free level of effort.
Excellent. He looks at you and he says, "Well, but you didn't... Who are you? Did you even come up here with us?"
Yeah, I was in the group that ran out of the cave.
I didn't... But the detachment I brought... I'm really confused. Roll a speed or intellect task to persuade him. Because of your easing and the circumstances and everything, the difficulty is only a 3. Target roll of 9.
Okay, I get a... You already included the ability?
Yeah, the ability's in there.
Okay, and I have 3 edge and intellect, so that's a free
now
level
it's a
of
2.
effort.
Target roll of 6.
Don't you remember me, Captain?
It's me.
It's me, Jim Bob.
And I will roll with the difficulty 2 task.
Okay.
Captain did remember my birthday.
Yeah.
I got an 8.
You got an 8. That's a success. Because I are you new? What's your name?
Yeah, I'm Smithy.
Smithy? I guess you must be one of the new kids, huh? They transfer so many people up here.
What do we do in this situation? The other 2 were killed by the group.
What group? We were chasing an owlbear.
Didn't you hear him yell back into the cave?
I guess I didn't, but now I remember that I probably did. Because that's the only way that what I've said would make sense in the continuation of the scene. You're right. You've reminded me, Smithy. What a great listener you are. Thanks. You can have a beer when we get back to the base. Wait. So the other 2 are dead. Are they all out there? What's going on out there?
I don't know where they are. They're gone.
Gone? What is like
the wind.
The cleanup crew is gone, or like our guys are gone?
Both.
I thought the crew had to stay here. Aren't they supposed to clear out traps or something?
I don't know. I just came back here when I saw them die.
Okay, well, if they're gone, why are you fleeing?
Because I don't want to stay and get killed.
I thought you said everyone was gone. Let's go look. And he leads you back up to the top of the cliff face here. Down on the ground, actually not on the ground. As you emerge from the cave, you just see a large rotten tree kind of float up and over the edge of the ravine and fall down on the other side. The captain goes, I bet I know where they went. He runs to the edge and goes, come here, boys, get your guns out. And he heads over to the edge by the lightning struck tree and he looks down. Yeah, I see 2 of them right there. Okay, now we only need to capture the Spider one. So the others, I think we can. And he pulls out another artifact and he clicks it.
Josh.
Yes?
While he's doing that, could I just push him off the cliff before he gets it off?
That's what I was exactly imagining.
Yes, sure.
All right, guys, we can recover from this.
You push
Stand
him off.
behind me.
Willard, you leap backwards as a tendril of dark magic rushes towards you, and Frode says, not to worry, and picks up a huge rotten tree and throws it up in the air, and the two of you look at each other in that moment that you've had many times since joining the cleanup crew of like, I can't believe that Frode would do that, and worse, I can't believe that it worked. And then the shadow of the tree that he flew up in the air gets bigger and bigger again, but instead of a tree, it's just a blue cloak, boom, splat, right on the ground between the two of you, lands on the ground. He oh, my back, what? And he looks down, and a GM intrusion on, I guess, Willard. He accidentally landed on the activation button for the explosive he was going to throw at you, and you see it begin charging. Are you going to refuse the intrusion?
Willard's going to refuse the intrusion, and if he can, he's just going to kick him in the face to knock him out.
Great.
Cost an XP to refuse.
Yeah,
yep, that's fine.
Great. So you refuse the intrusion, and instead, a consumable, so one-time use artifact of, it's essentially a grenade. It's a level 3 explosive. Falls out of his hand, and you kick him in the face, and he falls unconscious. And you look up, and you see Davroid, and now a really confused Blue Cloak, who looks over at Davroid like, "Why would you do that to the captain, man?" He grabs you by the shoulders, like, "What are you doing?"
I thought he could fly.
Am I being grappled?
Sure. Yes.
Okay, I would like to break free and just knock him unconscious.
I want to break free. Okay, Davroid, roll speed difficulty 4. Target roll 12.
All right.
I'm imagining when he said
I will use 1 level of effort.
Okay. Target roll of 9.
I imagine he's saying that out loud.
Exactly.
9 exactly. You break free. Now might roll or speed roll. You're attacking him now. Difficulty 4 to hit him, knock him unconscious. Target roll 12.
I'm gonna do a might roll.
Okay.
I got a 13.
13.
Nice.
Bam!
Go.
You slam into him with maybe the flat of your axe or something, and he just goes cold, falls to the ground. As that's happening, Armis, you are back at the mouth of the ravine here. You see the diplomatic envoy is now kind of winding their way up the path. You have probably ducked behind something so that they don't spot you because you know you're not supposed to be seen. But as you look at the carriage, they're now close enough that with your sharp eyes, you recognize the diplomat who is in the carriage. It is Armis's Spider wife. And sitting next to her is Armis's little Spider daughter. And on that note, tonight's adventure at the Winged Badger Tavern comes to a close. And we've got to talk about character arcs.
Knew it.
What a session. What an adventure. Let's start with Willard Taffy. Willard, do you feel like you took any steps on your journey to undo a wrong in your past tonight?
Not really. He was just pretty freaking badass today.
He was
if I
pretty
do say
cool,
so
but
myself.
but he didn't take any steps maybe into being a better
not
person.
really. Not really. I tried to, get inside his head a little bit on some of his decisions and his fears and whatnot, but no development.
All right. What about Armis Thrupp? No? Oh, man.
Next
He's
session.
just gunking it up.
Davroid, do we feel like you took any steps in earning the respect of your peers and establishing yourself as a creature of competence?
Depends on how his party felt about him this session, but probably not really too much change, I guess. I don't know. What do you guys think? How did your character's perceptions change majorly in any way?
I was too busy disarming traps, and I already respect you pretty well to handle your own, which it sounds like you did.
Yeah.
I was say, go ahead, Armis. Sorry.
Armis was impressed to hear him swear in his head. Dang,
Dang, he got serious.
he said shit.
I think this is more of this isn't a specific to this session thing, but more of a over the last couple session thing. I mean, Willard definitely trusts Davroid as a leader in tactical situations a lot more now. So, but I don't think that's at this session. I think that's just over the course of the last couple.
Got it.
Yeah. Probably not this
So
session.
maybe not this session. And Frode, how do we feel about Frode's growth arc? No?
No, I mean, for growth,
Yeah.
my man just brute force through everything he did and does what he always does. There was no growth.
That's true. You're right. No
Rock
growth
life.
there. And then the party arc of Uncover a Conspiracy. You did get several clues tonight, although if you didn't notice them, that's on you. You got several clues to the underlying conspiracy.
I will say we got somebody. We had a couple unconscious people.
That's true.
I would assume we'd take prisoner. I feel like either we get it this time or next time.
I think it's 2 XP for you got actual clues in this session, although I don't know whether you noticed them or not, but I would give you the 2 XP for getting those clues. And then one more thing, which is your overall quest arc of performing a service for Sailing Queen of Gyme, which you are actively doing, I feel. So I would say, yes, you are continuing to perform a service for Sailing Queen of Gyme. So that's 4 XP for everybody.
Total or 4 XP for that?
4 XP each.
Okay.
2 XP for the party quest, 2 XP for the campaign arc.
Got it.
So 4 total for each of us.
4 total for each of you.
Yes.
And also, in the next session, I just want to get a sense of where we're going here. Davroid, are you going... Oh, I guess you're not going with the captain because you brought him back in and then threw him off a cliff.
I have a plan for next... Or I have an ability, I guess for you to prepare for, maybe that would help.
Okay.
I have an ability called Find the Hidden. I can see traces of objects as they move through time and space. I can sense the distance and direction of any specific inanimate object that I once touched. This task takes anywhere from 1 action to hours of concentration, depending on what the GM feels appropriate due to time distance or other mitigating circumstances.
The coin.
Okay. So then what I would like you to decide, group, is whether the plan is for Armis to interact with his wife and daughter, or if Armis is going to stay hidden and we're going to take these guys who you captured back to like your cabin to interrogate them essentially. Because that's going to decide what I plan for the next session. Like, are we going to stay here in the canyon or are we going to take them back to the cabin?
I guess Armis, do you want that? Or like is I guess that's more on
What do you
Armis.
think Armis would do? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not ready to talk to this guys. I think he would like follow them for a little bit and just kind of look at
Make
them.
sure they're okay.
Make sure they're safe.
Yeah, make sure they get to where they
You know what? We'll have like that classic moment where we drag the prisoners up like just over the ridgeline, and while we're waiting to interrogate, Armis has that moment of looking down after them.
I was going to say, let's just
Longingly.
agree right now that happened and give Armis 2 XP for standing up for his family and thinking of someone besides himself. That seems like a
Nice.
growth moment for Armis, who in the past has just been like, well, they can't know I'm alive. I'm going to just stay out of their lives, and whatever happens is, not my problem. And he's kind of divorced himself from the idea. So I would say he gets 2 XP for that decision. And then we'll start next session, like back at your keep for the cleanup crew with your prisoners. Yes, Frode.
Quick clarification. Would we say we would take an hour rest at any point between?
Oh, yes. I'm sure by the time you got to the keep, you've taken an hour rest. And in fact, you can take the full night's rest as well if you want. And we'll just start them, it's probably a day back there with Mickey driving you on the like levitation platform thing. And then, you probably throw him in a cell. You sleep overnight. And the next morning, you're like, okay, we're going to come down and interrogate him, kind of a thing.
Okay.
Let him sit in a cell for a night. See if that loosens his lips, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Great. So that's where we'll pick up next session. And then I'm going to give you guys another bunch of XP right now because after that interrogation, we're going to do a time skip. After that, we're going to jump another little while into the future here. So each of you take another 8 XP for continued
Holy
missions
cow.
in that interim time. I just want you to have the ability, because it's only a conversation before that happens, I want you to be able to get those abilities in the next session when we get to the adventuring part. So that's what's going on here. And we will... Oh, yes?
Can I... Would you accept the justification of starting a fire be a trained skill?
Just to be able to start a fire?
Well, 3 XP with using my body.
Oh, I see. Using yourself as flint?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would take that. And then you
Okay.
could just carry like a steel blade or something that you use to start a fire.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Well, that is all my stuff for the adventure. Good job tonight, everybody. How are we feeling?
Good team.
Are we feeling good as
Great.
a group?
I'm excited.
Doing good.
That
was a fun time.
Good session, yeah. I like the map. I think the map made it
good.
very easy to understand what we're doing, where things are.
I
Yeah.
liked when you guys started to work in the names of the like features of interest as well. Like when you said Frode goes over to the little plateau or whatever, like however you said that, because it gives you guys a little bit of narrative authority too. So I'm glad that worked. I will try
And
to
it's just
continue it in the
descriptive
future.
enough.
And yeah, that's all from us here at the Wing Badger Tavern.
Nice.
Until next time, in the voice of Davroid Gravelhard, what do we tell the people?
We tell them GG and GN.
That's what we tell them. Good night, folks.